let's start here because I've done some research here. Kirk Cousins, 18 for 22 for only 164 and one pick in this game. Played Detroit. Now I'm facing Mike this next week, and Mike has been a Kirk Cousins starter all year long. Now Kirk is on the bye, and I told Mike, I said, I think this is a blessing in disguise for you. I looked into these numbers. Okay, Kirk Cousins is the number 3 going to this week. He's the number 3 fantasy quarterback on this season. Okay?
In our league.
In our league.
Yes.
Yes. It's small variance, but yes. The point is that his total numbers are very, very good. If you take, now you can't take, he gives you the chance of the 40-point game, right? Mm-hmm. He's played 9 games. He's had 2 in the upper 40s in our league format. If you remove those 2 games, his 7 other games, he's averaging 20 fantasy points a game, which is good enough for 21st in our league format. So if you didn't get the 2 big ones, or if you got those, he's actually hurting you the remaining 7 games. So it's a little bit of that.
It's very Cam Newton-y
from years ago.
Every year except this one.
Right. Yeah, where it's a little surprising. And the thing about Cousins is you haven't been able to predict when this happens. Yesterday was his worst game of the year, statistically, in terms of fantasy production. And it came against Detroit.
Yeah,
a game that you thought was going to be okay. Now, you didn't have Stephon Diggs.
And they also didn't really need their offense.
This is true, but
I think that the way I saw the game unfold, and I'm not arguing with you about Kirk Cousins has been very mediocre except for those 2 games where he inflated his numbers. But if you're watching the game, Detroit could do nothing.
But
on
this
offense.
was the problem with Kirk Cousins before the season.
Yeah,
this was the objection. You never say, Pat. I mean, how many times have the Chiefs needed their offense this year?
Every game.
Well, the point is, even when they're up by 100, we don't make the excuse. Pat Mahomes still puts up numbers, right? So they've won more games by a wider margin than just about anybody in football. But the strategic, situation between Zimmer and Andy Reid gives a higher variance to Kirk Cousins' fantasy output.
Yes.
And so they can get on top early, and they can soak up some more clock in Minnesota where it still seems to be high-flying fun for Kansas City. And obviously the Minnesota defense is much better than Kansas City's. But it doesn't mean anything. You're not dropping Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I wouldn't play him on the bye.
Yeah, solid.
But he would have similar production to this past week.
No, I agree. We talked about this before the season, and we looked back at Case Keenum when he had a great year. He had so many good games, but the games he didn't have good games weren't because – it was because the team won, and they won on defense, and he'd throw the ball 20 times. Well, Kirk Cousins threw the ball 22 times, and, unless you're having those crazy, hyper-efficient Deshaun Watson touchdown games, that volume is not going to get it done. And you're going to have more of these with Kirk Cousins. I think you need to downgrade him to a matchup play. You need to play him against another team that you're confident could score on the Vikings. And keep in mind, the Vikings defense, it's starting to shape up.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Their defense did not look great to start the year, but right now, and especially coming off the bye when Xavier Rhodes will be a little bit healthier, I think their defense is looking scary.
Hey, guess what? Click that subscribe button, and I might send you something in the mail. Maybe. You should do it.